I think the key thing is it's in your gift as a designer to make change. And there are some practical things that I can help you with, but go away from the talk and be creative, push those boundaries.
So that's what I'll be talking about. Just how my experience in my design field, how, by kind of doing things the wrong way or subverting expectations or best practices can often lead to kind of interesting discoveries in your field.
I think the takeaways that I really want people to go away with is the idea that you've got to start where people are and not where you'd like them to be. So don't plant a flag on a hill for where you think we ought to be and then die on that hill.
AI is never going to replace, it's going to amplify the creativity of the professional who understands how to build from the front end experience all the way through the stack to the kernel.
So in the creative space, at least, the humans are beating the machines, if I could put it like that, very crudely, for now, at least.
I don't know. It depends kind of what your metric would be. If your metric is sort of level of creativity, then yes, I think that the humans are still beating the machines. But in terms of sort of churning out something quite quickly that's quite impressive, within a minute or so, then perhaps the machines are unfortunately beating the humans. But that maybe depends what you're going to value for a final product.
Hi, I'm Mike Green, and welcome to Understanding Users, the podcast where I chat candidly with UX design and research professionals from around the world to hear about how they build digital products and services in a user-centered way.
Hi, nice to see you again. I'm Elizabeth Churchill, and I'm a Senior Director of UX at Google. And what I'm doing right now is I'm very focused on how we do consumer-grade tooling for designers and developers. We know that the world has been very much focused on making sure that consumers know what usability, utility, good user experience is. We have not spent so much time on helping designers and developers understand that space and building for them. I have a very particular belief, which is that if we give designers and developers better tools, better integration across different tools and platforms, then we unleash creativity that those folks who think about that end user use experience, what they want to bring to the world. And so if we give them better tools, they have more space for creativity to build better tools in the long run for everybody. All of that brilliant smarts that you bring to thinking about how you build for other people, turn that in and let's build for ourselves. Let's bring the brilliance of thinking about use experience to our own practice. To our own practice in terms of being creative, being effective, efficient, building things that other people want to use.
I'm Alice Helliwell. I'm an assistant professor of philosophy at Northeastern University London, and I'm also associate director of the graduate research school here. I'm a philosopher and I work with AI. My talk will be about the concept of creativity, so very broad there, it sounds like. But we often talk about creativity and how much we value creativity or how we want creative solutions to certain problems. But we might not always know exactly what we mean by creativity. And that's something that's become clear through my research. I look at artificial intelligence and whether AI can be creative and what that means. And something that's really come out is that there's not necessarily one agreed upon idea of what creativity is. And often we're throwing the word around, but we don't really know what we mean by it. So in my talk at UX Brighton, I'm hoping to present some theories about what creativity is, particularly from a philosophical perspective, though we'll touch on a little bit of psychology as well, maybe. And then we'll consider what it might mean for innovation and design. And my main aim for the talk is to provide some key takeaways about what creativity is and then how that might frame other discussions that we're having through the rest of the conference.
I'm Chris Howe. I currently work at an agency called Clearleft based in Brighton, and I'm the head of experience design. At UX Brighton, I'm giving a talk called unleash your inner innovator. And it's really a call to arms for designers to push those boundaries of creativity and innovation in the organizations they work at, be that in-house, freelancers, in agencies, to have that innovation mindset, to find the moments of creativity that they can bring to a project. I'm a really strong believer in the power of designers lies in their mindset, their kind of desire to make change. And often in the worlds that we work in, often with large organizations, in corporates, working with clients, that sense of exploration, innovation, making change in the world gets drummed out of people.
I'm Stephanie Posavec, and I'm a designer, artist, and author who specializes in working with data. So I visualize data for my, I guess, as part of my creative practice. I will be talking about how I work in data visualization, which is a little bit different to how people traditionally work with data visualization, like as a data analyst or data scientist. And I work with it in a way that I would often be considered like not in line with kind of more conventional data viz best practices. Um, and that's just because I think what I find really interesting as a designer is taking a process, data visualization, and kind of pushing it and pulling it and stretching it and working it with it in like kind of out of the ordinary ways, or kind of just manipulating the process to see what interesting results come from it. Just because I really believe that's how we move forward in our respective design fields. The insights and wisdom that I hope that the audience takes from my talk are, I guess, just that there's a value in not being too rigid with various design processes. I guess both with information design or data visualization and like kind of UX design, there are so many. Sometimes it feels like there's a lot of rules. It's really system based, rule based sort of design field, and sometimes we can kind of like in these kind of system based design spaces, we can sort of put ourselves in boxes without any like scope to kind of break free and try new things.
I'm Tricky, and I'm the director of product design at The Guardian. There's going to be lots of fantastic talks at UX Brighton that are going to be really inspirational. The subject is creativity and innovation, and what I'd like to do is kind of give people some sort of really practical ideas around how they actually implement innovation, how they approach innovation. So the sort of structure of the talk broadly and the takeaways that people are going to get are why innovate, how you innovate, and probably a bit of how not to innovate. And hopefully the bit that will make it interesting is that my background covers quite a lot of time agency side, but also time client side. So hopefully I'll be able to give people a perspective from sort of both sides and some insights into that.
I'm Tom. I have been working in UX, shall we say, for 25 years plus, starting in the early days of the single pixel gift trick. And then I got into the UX side of it when I did my first usability test in 1999. I've also made a lot of mistakes along the way. And that's what I kind of want to share in the talk that I'm going to give. Because my talk title is about sneaking agility back into agile. Now, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg, because there's a whole load of practices in the modern world, particularly in tech companies and in the digital product teams, that sort of thing, where we attempt to make linear plans and we attempt to say we need to know the answer before we can start work, and we need to do things in the right way and follow the correct process, and then that sort of happens. And throughout my career, I've kind of joked that there is no right process. The only process is try stuff until something works. And yet I got stuck all the time with thinking that that if we could just do enough research, we'd get the answers and we'd be able to make the right things. And then I got the chance to do enough research, and I realized that you don't just get given the answers still anyway. And there's still a load of hard stuff to do. It's very easy to complain about Agile, complain about feature factories, and to say we should be doing it this other massively different way. But actually, you need to work with the constraints of the present, not the gap that you see from some idealized future. Because there's always going to be a gap from the ideal. Nothing's ever perfect. And I think there's a particular lesson that I had to learn the hard way, which is you don't have to get very much right, actually. Most companies are doing almost everything wrong, 2 or 3 things right really well. And it's a mistake to try and get everything right because you'll run out of money and time and life and energy. You have to just you do need to let some stuff go.
How do you see AI, the role of AI in the digital design space, kind of evolving and people's roles changing as a result? Because obviously there's a certain amount of concern and uncertainty around what the future will look like. What's your view on that?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because my research work touches on both sort of creativity and kind of using AI, particularly in the artistic and creative sort of industries. But the other part of what I do is ethics. So I certainly understand the concerns around AI, or I hope I do, because that's part of what I teach. So I think it's a fine line of, while also seeing what could come positively from these technologies. And I think it's important for lots of people to explore those possibilities. We know that it seems like they might be able to enhance some of our creative practices, enhance some of what we're able to do and how quickly we can do it and what kind of can be delivered sort of beyond what we thought was possible. So I think that there's a real opportunity there in general.
The other thing that's colliding is definitely, as you said, that sense of artificial intelligence and particularly generative AI and what that means for creativity. I'm much more in the kind of William Morris part of the world of like the world I think needs thinkers and craftspeople. And I think AI, my positive view of AI is that it will get rid of some of the drudge work that we do and will free up time for people to be more imaginative, more creative. And as a result of that, spend more time with the people they're trying to solve problems for and coming up with more imaginative ideas. I'm an optimist. So that's the view that I'm going to take.
Of course, we live in ever-changing worlds and times. How is AI going to change what we do? Because everything I think about is that AI is never going to replace, it's going to amplify the creativity of the professional who understands how to build from the front end experience all the way through the stack to the kernel. These are the folks, you are the folks who are creating these experiences for everyone. And AI and all forms of AI are tools for you, because your excellence and expertise is what helps us understand where the AI gets it right and where it doesn't. Well, I think there's been some really interesting hyperbolic conversations. And what's interesting about the AI tools that I was mentioning is that they change every few weeks. And the critical analysis of how they're useful or not changes every week. And so this is an ongoing conversation. I'm personally not invested in that it's going to solve everything or we're all going to lose our jobs. I'm invested in the unleashing of creativity through new tools. And so that's changing all the time. And I'm inviting everybody to keep track on it, because this changing world of AI, finger on the pulse. What's happening? What's coming out? What's available? What's not? What costs what? And what is the benefit to you? I'm seeing so many more creative conversations that are, I tried this and it did work. I tried this and it didn't work. Here is the space that we can have a conversation all the way from UX design through kernel operational design through platform design. We can have a conversation about where does this show up? Where does it show up for developers so you don't have to do boring code? Where does it show up for designers so that you don't have to do multiple iterations, but you can actually have AI support multiple iterations? Where does AI show up where we can actually have lightweight sort of user testing to see what works and what doesn't? These are tools. This exciting. Every week brings something new where the incredible creativity of our community is pushing the boundaries of what these tools can do and can't do. And, in the history of humankind and developing tooling, we're always excited, suspicious, and curious about where these tools are taking us. Right now, we have a moment to be deeply engaged. What helps? What doesn't? Where's our voice? Where is it not? I am not an advocate of panic. I'm an advocate of, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I suppose I suppose we're kind of at this moment where there's definitely a lot of sort of hype and talk around AI, and we're just trying to figure out what that actually means. Talking about it like from a perspective of the Guardian is something that we have to be really careful about, because that the thing that makes us absolutely unique is that people trust us. They trust our journalism. We have a different commercial model at the Guardian, which means that we can remain politically and financially independent, but we really have to be careful about that trust that we hold with our readers. So AI, as well as an opportunity, is something that we have to be really careful around. One of the things I would say is that it is helping us achieve stuff that even just 6 months ago we wouldn't have been able to achieve. I'm hoping that I might be able to talk about a new product that we're going to be launching when I get to UX Brighton, and we are using AI as part of the development of that product to help us kind of like accelerate the way that we organize the content. But like I said, it's always done with this kind of lens of like kind of human curation. Like, we can't get away from that because people trust us as an organization, and we just have to be really careful around like AI.
And then the other thing that's happening in the world is the internet or digital is spreading outside of screens. When I started, it was a screen-based medium. Smartphones came in and we were looking at responsive design. And now the internet, digital in its broader sense, is in all of the products and services that we're using. And I think that mindset of being a digital designer and not a screen-based designer offers huge opportunities for people to be working across sectors, across different devices, and seeing design as a way of creating change across many, many different forms. And I think that is really exciting. I think that designer mindset is one that I think is going to be needed in all industries, and not just within the internet itself.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Understanding Users. If you enjoyed what you heard, do please like or comment wherever you're listening, and feel free to share this episode more widely. And feel free, of course, to drop me a line with any feedback via LinkedIn or my website, researchable.uk. Join me again next time when I'll be sharing some more insights from digital design professionals. Until then, stay safe and stay user-centered.